Hi, this is Kevin. Welcome to my introductory lecture for all three sections of IS430 that I'm teaching in the fall of 2022 at the iSchool at Illinois. And IS430 is Foundations of Information Processing. It is the Python course. And I just want to kind of show you my schedule. This is a part of my weekly schedule application, and you'll see that I've got three sections of IS430 that I'm teaching in the fall, and one section of IS446. That's the systems analysis course. I hope to see you there one day. And uh, of IS430, there is an A section, ACG, ACU, a B section, BCG, BCU, and an O section, OAG, OAU. So the A and B sections meet on campus on Tuesday. The A section meets Tuesday morning. The B section meets Tuesday afternoon. The O section is an online section that meets online on Wednesday evenings. Okay, so I'm going to go through in the rest of the recording here. I'm going to go through Canvas site for one of the sections. I'm going to go through a syllabus for one of the sections. I'm going to go through at least part of the weekly schedule for one of the sections. I can't do all three. Okay, so the particulars are going to be different depending upon which section you're in. Okay, and when you log into your Canvas site, okay, the links are going to take you to all the documents that are right for you. All right, so let's look at the Canvas site for the A section. The identify information is its IS430 ACG ACU in the fall of 2022. Foundations of Information Processing meets on Tuesday mornings. Okay, if you want to know where it meets, you have to punch through to the schedule. Okay, and you can get to the schedule by clicking on weekly schedule. Okay, and you can open the weekly schedule in a new window, and here it is. And the weeks are what organize the schedule. There are 17 of them, although the 17th is an exam week. And if we click on one, we can see that on Tuesday, August the 23rd, from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., we're going to meet in Education 166. Okay, so both of the Tuesday classes are in Education 166. It's a beautiful classroom. I had a chance to visit it over the summer. I think we're going to be very comfortable there, and we're going to learn a lot and have some fun. Okay. More on the schedule soon. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the Canvas site. So there's a lot of information here that's linked. So the schedule is a link. Okay. You can come here and use the link that's in Canvas, or you can save it in your browser. That'll probably be easier. And there's also a link to the syllabus. Okay, and if we open that up, we'll see that this is syllabus for IS430 ACG ACU. You can see that I, Kevin Trainer, am the instructor. The TA is Jana Kim. We're probably also going to be getting some grading help from a grader, okay, to be further identified. And you can see here that the regular class sessions are going to be held on Tuesday from 9:30 to 11:30 in Education 166. All right. So depending upon what section you're in, the particulars are going to be different on the syllabus, um, and in the schedule, and in the details that we link to from your Canvas site. All right. Okay. Let's go back to Canvas. Okay. Um, I would like you to set your name in the university self-service application such that the important applications, including Canvas and Zoom, get your preferred name. So if you click through on this link here, you'll see sort of an explanation of what we're trying to do and a link to a page that was created by the iSchool Help Desk a little while ago, but it's still current. And this will tell you how to go in and change your preferred name on in the university system, or I guess you register your preferred name, and then that's the name that's going to show up in Canvas and Zoom. Okay, so that's going to allow us to call you what you want to be called. So I'd like you to do this as soon as you can. It won't be long before we get to our first class. And the other thing is, for the on-campus classes, I'm going to be printing out name badges. And the names that I'm going to use are the ones that are going to come from Canvas. So if you could get your name changed in this manner soon, then the names on the badges are going to be the names that you would like us to call you. And I think that would be a good idea for everybody. Okay? So let's close that and come back here to the main page. Okay. There's a link that the iSchool put together on how to get help and quick links and all that kind of stuff, and I've included that here. Okay. All of my classes have an open discussion forum, and if you read the description, this is another way to communicate between students and students. The TA and I are going to monitor posts in here from time to time, and will occasionally contribute. But if you need to get help from us, the most expeditious way to do that is using the service desk for this course, which I'll explain in a minute. Okay. We have a link here for Zoom meetings. Okay. I am going to put Zoom meetings in for every class, whether it's on campus or online, with the idea that we can always have another pandemic or we can have a snow emergency. And I'm going to have them set up ahead of time, even for the on-campus classes. Okay, so don't be surprised if you're in an on-campus class and you click on the Zoom meeting link and you see links in here for classes that we're going to have in person. We also have these online labs once a week, and of course, all those are going to be online. So I'm going to expect that we're going to have those online. All right, I haven't had the chance to get these in, but I expect to have them in before the first class. All right. Okay, so that's the first module. Now, the second module is about contacting us, and by us, I mean the instructor, me, and the TA. So if you click on instructor and TA details, you'll see again that I'm the instructor. And here for the A section, the TA is Jenna Kim. Okay, and if you look at the other sections, you're going to find the name of your TA there. And in the page here, we identify ourselves and we say the best way to contact us is to uh, open a ticket to post a message on the service desk system for this course. And again, we'll explain that and we'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Okay, so don't use regular email. I, for one, lose regular email all the time. Okay, which is one of the reasons why we have the system that we do. Um, so we have a link here for using the service desk for this course, and if you click through, it's going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to tell you that you can contact me and the TA. In the case of this section, that's Jenna. By using the service desk for this course. And this link will take you to the page that's the service desk for this course. Okay, now before I go right to the page, okay, because I'm already logged in. Okay, this is implemented using a product called Jira Service Management. There's a different service desk project for each of the courses that I teach for each of the sections. They all have their individual place to go. And as you can see, the link here is it takes us to the project for the A section only. Okay, so if you're in the B section or the O section, if you click on the link that's in your Canvas page, it should take you to the place for your section. Okay, now you need to be registered on the server in order to use it. And when you go to log in, if you're not logged in already, it's going to ask you for a login or show you a link. So let's say we log out. We'll get the login page. Okay. And you can see that either you log in with your credentials, or if you forgot your password, there's a link here for that. But sign up for an account is where you go the first time that you're here. And I have a tutorial that you can play that kind of walks you through the details. It's been around for a year or so, but I think it's reasonably current. Okay? All right. Now, if you want to learn more about the service desk, there is a page called Service Desk Introduction. And if you click on that, it kind of explains the rationale for it. It has some information about how to get started. And it's got links at the bottom to all of the service desk projects that are currently active. There's one for each of the four sections that I'm teaching in the fall. There's one for people who want to contact me about recommendation. And there's one called Other, which if you want to contact me about anything else, you use Other. And if you click on these, well, then they go to the place. Let me log in. Then they go to the place where they're supposed to lead, even Other. All right. So that's the service desk. Now, I've explained it a bit, but what if you wanted to play a tutorial? Okay, so there's a tutorial video on how to use the service desk for this course. And I also want to point out that all of my videos, um, because of the way I speak when I record, they play kind of slow. And I've got this tips video that shows you how to adjust the speed to make it just right for you. So please, um, before you begin to play the videos that I have here, play that and make sure that you're pretty comfortable with adjusting the speed to my speed when I recorded it and your needs in whatever activity that you're doing. Okay? And the slides that I used in the tutorial are right here. Okay, oh, we have to click yet again to get to the slides. Okay, and there you are. Okay, now that's the basic stuff. Let me put us in the student view. So we're going to see what you see. So we see all the sections that we just saw. There's going to be a section for submit assignments. And here's where I'm going to have the activities for all the assignments you're going to submit over the course of the semester. And I just want to point out that I have them all unpublished at this point because I have to adjust the due dates. I just imported them from a course I taught in the summer, and it's going to take some work. So I hope I'm going to have that done. Probably sometime during the first week of the semester, and there's no hand-in due till the end of the second week of the semester. And then what I normally do with the class is right before class, I publish my solution. Okay, and one of the first things that we do in class is we walk through your solutions and mine, and we compare them, and we talk about what's a good solution. I did something different. Is that good or bad, or it really doesn't matter? Okay, then that's going to be part of learning design. Okay, so we'll leave the student view. One of the things that you can see here is we have the assignments that we're going to have. We've got coding assignments for chapters 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11. Then we have coding assignments for chapter 11 and 14 from the Severance book, and one for chapter 9 and one for the Jupyter Notebook, and then we've got a final project. And I'll be going through some of that kind of stuff where I go through the schedule. Okay, and what I have is I have all the solutions here. So when we're ready to review them, then I publish the solution. Okay, so that's that. That's the Canvas site, and it's a link to all the other content. Okay, so let's take a look at the schedule. Okay, so we're doing the A section. So let's look at the schedule for the A section. Okay, and at this point, this is more than a week before the beginning of the semester. I've only populated the schedule for the first 3 weeks. By the time we meet for the first time, I'll have a lot more of it up, perhaps all. And it all has to do with the fact that my most recent version of the content was from the summer, and the summer semester is crammed into 12 weeks, and there are holiday weeks, and it's just a lot of fiddly stuff to get everything into the right week, and I don't want to make any mistakes. So the weekly schedule, the top level page is an index of the weekly schedule pages, and there's a page for each week in the semester, 1 through 17. Okay, and week 1 is our first week of classes, and each week is organized by events. So there's a big box here for each event. So there's a box for the Tuesday class session 1. There's a box for a Friday online lab session, which is optional. And there's a box for a weekly assignments at deadline, which is always at the end of the day on Sunday. Okay. So you can go to like any week and then see what's happening that week. Okay. So what are we doing in week 1? Well, we're going to review the syllabus. You're going to play this recording. Okay. That's how we're going to review the syllabus. Then when we get together, we'll discuss any questions that you have. There's a link to the syllabus. There's a link to my tips tutorial. There's a link to, there'll be a link to the recording. That's what you're playing right now. There's an assignment to get ready to introduce yourself in class. There's a description here for the online lab. The major point of the online lab is for you to come to get help with your work. And that could be working on your coding assignment and you're stuck, or it could be any other kind of question that you have or something that you'd like to discuss. And so at the end of every class that we have, the classes aren't going to go a full 2 hours. So I will take whatever remaining time we have and I'll convert that to lab time. And I can often stay after. Okay. So that's the first opportunity in the week for lab help. And then on Friday afternoon, there's a lab online. So the lab for the A section is from 2 to 3. The lab for the B section is from 3 to 4. And the lab for the O section is from 4 to 5. Okay, and if you can't make your lab, you won't have a link for the other lab, but contact me and I'll find some way to get you a link and you'll be able to join us if you have some kind of a conflict. Okay, and the weekly assignments for the first week are not to hand in things, although there is one thing. The first thing I want you to do during the first 2 weeks, I want you to learn how to use the service desk and send a greetings post to the service desk. We're just practicing using it. That's all that we're doing. So I've listed this as part of the weekly assignment in week 1 and week 2. Obviously, you only have to do it in one of the 2 weeks. And the other things that you need to do are choose the computer you're going to work with. You're going to install Anaconda, and you're going to install PyCharm Professional. And I've got resources here, including pretty detailed tutorial videos that I just re-recorded in the last couple days. So they're very fresh, and I think they're going to help you a lot. So that's week 1. Week 2, We're really going to dive in. We've got a big week, okay? We're going to cover the first three chapters of the Zell book. Now, that's normally a, an aggressive assignment for week one, okay? In fact, this is how we do it in the summer when we're teaching in 12 weeks instead of 16. But it turns out that in the current semester, we're losing 2 weeks because of um, the voting day holiday. Okay, so uh, the two classes that meet on Tuesday are on a holiday, and the class that meets on Wednesday, I'm going to I'm going to cancel in order to keep everybody on the same schedule. So because we're losing 2 weeks, the semester in the fall is not much longer than the semester I teach in the summer. And I really felt it best to keep this accelerated pace for week one. Um, uh, what I'm going to have you do is start working ahead. And not this isn't week one. This is week two. So in week one, you can actually begin to work on these things once you get the software installed, and I think you do pretty well. Uh, we always do chapters 1 and 2 in week one, and in the summer we always do 1, 2, and 3. And people do fine in the summer, so I think that you're going to do fine too. Um, so, um, like I said, we're going to cover the first three chapters. The first two chapters are introductory. The third one is a real skill-based chapter. Um, so the assignments for chapters 1 and 2 are very, kind of beginnerish. There's nothing at all challenging before you get to the work that we're going to do for chapter 3. So that's the class on Tuesday, or of course, if you're in the online section, that's going to show up on Wednesday evening. All right. We have a Friday lab. All the labs are on Friday afternoon. And then we've got the deadline on Sunday. A reminder to send in the greeting in case you haven't already done that. And then there are hand-in assignments for chapters 1, 2, and 3. And again, 1 and 2 are modest. 3 is a bit more challenging. All right. And then in week 3, we click on the next. We're going to go on and do chapter 5. We don't do chapter 4. Chapter 4 is about some topics that we don't cover in the course. But we go into chapter 5. Chapter 5 is a big chapter. We cover strings, lists, and files, and I throw in tuples. It's a meeting chapter. It's going to be a decent amount of work again. What I like about the schedule that we have here, and again, this is the schedule that I do when I teach in the summer, is by the time we're done at the end of week 3, we've already we've already addressed more than a third of the textbook. So we really have learned a lot, and um, um, we're able to do some things that are more satisfying. Okay, so we don't, if you get going too slowly, you're doing kind of babyish things forever, and it's not as much fun. So uh, this is a challenging but very manageable pace. Okay, and then the there's a lab on Friday, and then there's the chapter 5 assignment that's due at the end of the day on Sunday. If you were to go ahead on the schedule, you'll see that the schedule pages are under construction unless if you go to the index, if you go to week 14, you'll see that that's fall break. Okay. A couple of weeks before that, we do have, we essentially get the week off. November 8th is election day, and November the 9th, I'm given the Wednesday class off in sympathy for having given the election day holiday off to the two classes that meet on Tuesday. And then week 14 we have off, and then we come back, and it's not too long before we're done, because everything is due in week 16. Okay, so I'm going to have this filled out by the time we get together on the first week of class. I might not be all the way to week 16, but I'll be pretty close. And you'll have a lot more details. So that's the schedule. That's what it's all about. Let's look at the syllabus. So I'm going to expect you to read the syllabus, and I hope you've read the syllabus already. So I'm going to try tonight talk about it word for word, but in more general terms. And again, in our first class, and really anytime after we get together, if you have a question about the syllabus or the schedule or anything, I'll be glad to answer those. Okay? So the beginning of this is all kind of metadata. Okay? The first real content has to do with the distinction between 4-credit and 2-credit enrollment. Okay, so for graduate students, you have the option of taking it for 2 or 4 credits. Okay, the people who take it for 4 are going to submit all the coding assignments and the final project. The final project is like everybody does the same project. It's an individual project. It's like a coding assignment on steroids. It's like the size of maybe 2.2 coding assignments, right? That's the only difference, okay? The history of the 2-credit option is that there were people who either didn't have the credits available to spend on a technical course and they were in the library program, or they didn't have the funds to expend on it. So taking it for 2 credits is really for people who are trying to conserve either credits or funds. If you've enrolled for 2, I'd really invite you to switch to 4. It's pretty easy to do to file the paperwork. The additional work is substantial, but not a lot, okay? And it's a pretty rewarding way to take the course, and you get twice the credit. It's a deal, okay? So I certainly support anybody who goes, oh, no, geez, I'd like to take this for 4. Just make sure that you file the paperwork well before the end of the semester. The deadline is earlier than the end of the semester. And if you have any questions, talk to me. I'd be glad to answer them. So the regular class sessions for the A sections are on Tuesday morning on campus. The B section Tuesday afternoon on campus. The O section Wednesday evening online. The optional lab sessions are really the time where I get to help you, okay? And I really do it on a first come, first served kind of basis. If we're doing it after class, then people just hang around after class. If we're doing the weekly online one, well, everybody signs in, and then I take people on a first come, first served basis. One of the interesting things is that uh, some people just kind of hang around to see what's going on, right? And some of the people who hang around with a question, by the time I get to them, they've heard somebody else ask the same question or have the same problem, and they'll say, you know what? I'm good. I know how to solve that now. Okay. So we have some good conversations. It, these are optional. Okay. There are some people who come to everyone. Okay. There are some people who come to none of them. Okay. And there are other people who check in as they need help. If you're going, I don't have regular kind of open office hours. So I have the online labs. Well, I have the labs. Let's say that. If you need to talk to me more privately, then open a ticket on the service desk and set up and ask to set up an individual meeting. We'll probably do it on Zoom, but it will be private and you'll be able to discuss what you want to in confidence. Okay? If you need to contact me or the TA, open a ticket on the service desk. It's pretty easy. And once you send your greetings ticket, you'll know how to do that. Okay. This is the first course in programming. We assumed that you've had no programming at all. Okay, now the people who come to the course run the gamut. There are some people who have had no programming. Some people have had some programming, but not with Python. There's some people who've had a Python course and they forgot it, or they didn't think they learned much. There are some people who are actually using some Python on the job, but they don't think they know it formally. Okay, I've got a home for everybody here. Okay, everybody belongs. Okay, so read through the description, read through the goals, all those kinds of things. I think you'll get a clear idea of what we're trying to do. Now, the topics are pretty much the titles of the chapters that we cover in the two textbooks. Almost all the chapters that we cover are out of the Zell textbook. Two of the chapters that we cover are out of the Severance textbook. The learning outcome, again, I'll leave those for you to read on your own. I think they make sense, and so you certainly acquaint yourself with the list. There are two textbooks. The primary one is the Zell third edition Python Programming and Introduction to Computer Science. It's a paperback. You have to buy it. So if you haven't ordered it, please get it ordered. The Severance book is a great book. There are free electronic copies in several formats, and there's a link here to the site where you can access them. You can buy a printed copy of this, but I don't recommend it. In terms of the technology requirements for the course, you need a contemporary PC, okay? And it should run either Windows or Mac OS. And by Windows, I mean Windows 10 or 11. And by Mac OS, I mean the recent version of the operating system. You can use Linux, but there's not a lot of support if you're going to use Linux. If you're a person who knows more about Linux than I do, well, then that's fine. You can support yourself. But if you're a normal or a newbie user, certainly talk to me before you decide to run all the software that we have in a Linux environment. You can get it all to work. It's just going to take some technical support. Okay. Um, all the software that we're going to be using should be free to you while we're in the course. Okay. The weekly schedule I already explained. Here's a link to it. So depending upon the course that you're in, um, it's going to link to the pages that have the schedule for your section. So the elements of the course include readings, lecture videos, and tutorial videos. Okay. Now, most of the readings are assigned in the Zell book, although I do have some optional ones in the Severance book for people who maybe they're new to programming and they're not getting it from the Zell book, and then they'd like to read like a different rendition of the same thing. So I point you to things in the Severance book that might be helpful. Okay. Now, um, whatever the chapter is or chapters are that we're reading for the week, I've got lecture videos that correspond to those. Okay, and they're named after the chapter in the book. All right, I've marked them both as required. They're a required reading and a required video. I understand that not everybody learns the same way. Okay, so um, I'm going to leave it for you to decide whether you're going to read the chapter and play the video, or whether you're going to read the chapter, you're going to play the lecture video. I do make extra commentary on the video that, of course, isn't in the chapter. And he probably talks about some things in the chapter that aren't in the lecture. Okay, but you kind of sample the content and you figure that out. Okay, you find the pattern that works for you. Now, there's another kind of lecture video that covers things that aren't in the textbook, and they have in their title "Beyond the Textbook." Okay, please play these because there's no other source for this information, and it's part of the content of the course. Okay, so whereas you can decide that you're going to read the book and not play the, the lectures on the chapter from the textbook, the Beyond the Textbook lecture, I'm going to really expect you to play. The tutorial videos really fall into two types. One type are the kind that I showed on the weekly schedule for week 1. They're like how to install software and things like that. Okay. The other thing is that the coding assignments you have each week, they typically have a tutorial video associated with each exercise. All of the regular exercises, we have these challenge exercises where you earn the last points between 95 and 100, and they don't come with a tutorial. But the regular exercises pretty much all have a tutorial. And I show you how to solve a similar problem, and then you go on to do the exercise on your own. Okay, that's the general design. Okay, and obviously I think they're worth playing, or I wouldn't have recorded them. The coding assignments are pretty much due each week. There's a group of exercises for each of the chapters that we cover. And the idea is you don't really learn by reading or by listening as much as you learn by doing. Reading and listening are important, but it's the actual coding where the learning takes place. And so I have set up the incentives on the grading such that um, you you're going to get all the points if you hand them in on time, and if you hand them in late, you're going to lose like 15 points, a bunch of points. Okay, so you're going to want to hand them in on time because at the beginning of the next class, we're going to review the solutions. Okay, and once you see the solutions, everything looks easy. Okay, you need to struggle with them a bit on your own. Um, the primary feedback is going to be the review of the solutions that we do in class, and then the TAs and or the graders are going to grade your work, and the goal is to get them back in about 2 weeks. Okay. Now, I've got a special deal for the grading for coding assignments that I'll talk about in a little bit when I talk about the grading. I talked about the final project already. The final project is it's just a coding assignment on steroids. It's a little bit bigger than 2 times a coding assignment. It's all about one coordinated thing. It kind of looks like a project that you might find in the workplace, and you get the chance to do something from beginning to end. Okay, everybody does the same one. Um, and just like with the coding assignments, you're entitled to come to lab and ask for help. Attendance. We expect you to attend class. Okay. If you miss a class and you're in the online class, well, there'll be a recording of the class that you'll be able to play. Um, that's all I'm going to say. Participation. Um, Most of what we're going to be doing during our class time is participating. The lectures are all recorded, right? So we're going to be doing things in breakout sessions, and we're going to be discussing things. And so there's going to be a substantial amount of points. There are 10 points of the grade for this course have to do with your level of participation. That's a full letter grade. Okay, so uh, the way this works is that you earn points for participation things. You can earn points for a greetings post, making a speaking contribution in class, making a chat contribution in class if you're on Zoom, presenting your work from your assignment during class, or presenting as a spokesperson for a breakout group that you've been in during the class. And we add up all the points. And at the end of the semester, I add up all the points and I grade it on a curve. And I've got something about that and a little bit when it comes to grading. I've got a bunch of grading policies, and this has gotten kind of long, but so many students over the years have asked, well, can I do this? Can I do that? And I just have had to write it all down. And I apologize if it looks like a contract for a car lease, but that's the way it's gotten. Um, Please read through this. I'll give you some highlights. Careful attention to detail is a big deal. So we're going to be very specific that you have everything that you're supposed to have. So check over your work very carefully before you hand it in. You can't resubmit your work if the deadline for the assignment's already passed. Now, if you submit your work and then you go, oh my God, I never thought of that, and you need to submit again, and the deadline hasn't come and gone, well, just resubmit. That's fine. We'll mark the latest one. But once the deadline has passed, that's it. Okay. If you need an extension, and I'll entertain reasonable requests for extensions. Request one by opening up a ticket on the service at desk before the deadline. I typically will only grant extensions to the beginning of the next class because I'm going to show the answers to people. But we'll craft whatever extension around the circumstances at hand. Deductions will be made for late submissions. Okay, so get them in on time. Assignments submitted too late will not be graded. So assignment will a regular coding assignment it will be too late after 14 days. A final project will be too late after 7. If you think you're going to meet that, you're going to miss that, well, apply for an extension. Okay. Grading adjustments will be limited to automatic rounding. So even if a 1 point change on one assignment would move you over the boundary from an A minus to an A, we're not going to change anything, but we're just going to automatically round scores. That's it. If you want to request us to regrade an assignment, either because we missed it and we need to grade it the first time, or you think we missed, the merit of your work, well, submit a ticket requesting a regrading, and we'll give it a fair look. Okay? There are no extra credit opportunities. When you see the deal that I have on grading for coding assignments, you realize that it's really hard to screw up your grade by having one bad assignment. So I've decided that extra credit opportunities are just not something I'm going to do. A a good score for meeting all expectations on an assignment is a 95, a good solid A. And what we have is that every assignment has regular exercises. Okay, and those are the ones that have normal expectations. And if you get them all right, you get a 95. Okay, if you hand it in on time and follow the rules. Okay. If you want to get between 96 and 100, you have to do the challenge exercise, and they're hard, and there's not as much help available for them. But people do them all the time, and they score well. So that's how you get between the A and the A plus. Coding assignment submissions that meet certain criteria are subject to a minimum score guarantee. Okay, so I want to give everybody the incentive to make a good try on every part of the assignment. Okay, so if you hand your work in on time and you follow the rules about the way you name a file and how you submit it and all that kind of stuff, and you make a good faith effort on all parts, you should score 85. There's like an 85 minimum score guarantee. Now, there are two parts of this. There's 75 of the points are for the work itself, and 10 are for handing in a proper file. So read the details, but it's it's hard to think if you try hard and you follow the rules, even if things go completely sideways, you should be able to salvage an 85 out of a coding assignment. Now, I don't have this deal for the final project. You have to earn every point on the final project. I talked about before that you earn points for participation. So here are the points that you earn. You earn 10 points for the greetings post in the beginning of the semester, 2 points for a normal speaking contribution in class, 1 point for a chat on Zoom, 5 points for making a presentation of the work from your assignment during class, and 5 points for acting as a spokesperson for your group. Okay. And I just add up all the points that everybody gets over the semester, and I grade it on a curve. Okay. So what formula do I use for the curve? Well, I use a curve that has to do with the percentile that you rank in of all of the students and the participation points. And it's a pretty kind curve, because if you're in the 50th percentile, you get a 90. That's a pretty good deal. Okay. Now, if you don't get 10 participation points, which you should be able to get just by putting in your greetings posts, if you have 9 or fewer participation points, you're going to get a 0. Attendance isn't graded directly, but you can earn any participation points other than the greetings post if you're not at class. Okay, so it can affect your grade for sure. Academic integrity is really important for all courses, but it's especially important in this course because people get behind and they copy code, and copying code that you're not supposed to copy will get you in big trouble. Okay, we I have programs that are going to compare the code that you hand in with all the other people in your section and all the other people in the rest of the sections, and the code in the class solution. And I expect some degree of correlation because I'm teaching everybody code in a similar style. But we can detect copying, and so don't do it. Okay? Read the details. Now, I do give you files. Okay? I give you starter files that I expect you to hand in pretty much as is. Okay? And I do these tutorial examples, and quite often if you follow along when I'm doing the tutorial, you can kind of clone that code into the code that you hand in. Okay, that's okay too. Those are fair game, but you don't want to do you don't want to copy code from other people, and you don't want to be working on things as a team when we're expecting you to do things individually. So the grade calculation for the course. So for students who take the course for 4 credits, the participation is 10%, the coding assignments 45, the final project 45. For the students who take 2 credits, 10% for participation, 90% for the coding assignments, there is no final project. The table that we have here for um, converting number grades to letter grades is pretty standard across the iSchool, and I conform to that. And here's a reminder again, uh, we're not going to do anything but rounding. Okay, that's it. Okay, even if you're just a point away from some kind of a boundary here, or a half a point away, or a tenth of a point away. Okay, other than rounding, that's going to be it. And then we've got a bunch of policies here at the end. And this is kind of interesting because, on one hand, these are really important policies. They have to do with incomplete grades, academic integrity, inclusion and inclusiveness, religious observances, accessibility, COVID policy, those kinds of things. And so do read these things. And if you've got questions, ask me. Okay. And a lot of these things are things where you might be entitled to help or you might need some explanation. Well, I'm your first place to go if you have any kind of question. Now, on the other hand, even though this is all important stuff, this should be about the same on every syllabus you see at the iSchool. So it's what we call in kind of business contract lingo, we call it boilerplate. These are boilerplate terms. So you may look at this and say, well, I know all this. Okay, and if you really do know all this, well, then that's good. But these are important things. So please make sure that you read it and you understand it. And if you need some help or you have some questions, approach me and I'll either answer it or solve it, or I'll connect you with the people who can. So that's it. That's the introduction to the course. I like this course. I think that you will too. People typically get favorable grades in this course, and they're typically happy at the end. We have some fun along the way. And so I'm expecting your group to have the same experience. So I'm looking forward to meeting you all on the first day of class. And I'm going to say bye until then. Bye bye.